Stunning new evidence revealing George Zimmerman's shocking arsenal of guns and ammo.
He didn't brandish a gun. He had his hand on the gun.
You put your gun in my freaking face and told me to get the out.
George had a concealed weapons permit.
I believe there's one judge, and that's who we should all answer to.
Straight out to Larry Elder, ABC radio talk show host. Larry, why does Zimmerman not only have an arsenal of guns, but he's set now, George Zimmerman turned publicity hound, to get back in the ring? We thought that was over. It's not. It's been resurrected with rappers like Drake, DMX. He's even trying for Chyna, the female wrestler, Orlando Jones, Sean, Diddy Combs. Why should he make money off Trayvon Martin's death? And not only that, selling his so-called art online, he's probably racked in over $200,000 now. This after Zimmerman rakes in over $300,000 on his online financial campaign.
Nancy, I don't know the definition of arsenal, let alone shocking arsenal, the adjective that you use, but it would shock me if George Zimmerman, probably one of the most hated men in America, did not have self-defense material. This is a guy who's had death threats from day one. Spike Lee tweeted the address of what he thought was George Zimmerman's parents. There was a guy at the courthouse the day of the verdict who had a T-shirt with George Zimmerman's face on it with crosshairs on it. There's a website that offers $1 million bounty on him. I'd be shocked if this man didn't have firearms to protect himself.
Well,
if the Second Amendment was designed for anything, designed for George Zimmerman.
Larry, that the only time we hear about Zimmerman in connection with a gun is when he is brandishing it. He's already shot down one child unarmed. Then he has this fight with his wife. Then, according to the girlfriend, he points a long gun, shotgun right at her face. Now we uncover an arsenal, over 100 rounds of ammo at his home. And he's set to make more money off Trayvon's death. I mean, I don't see other people trying to get in the ring with a female wrestler and claim it's going to charity after he takes his cut, I'm sure.
Nancy, last I checked, George Zimmerman was found not guilty. He therefore has a right to keep and bear arms. The Second Amendment applies to him. The First Amendment applies to him. This idea that George Zimmerman somehow should be singled out as some sort of poster boy for the proliferation of handguns in America is insane.
Hold on. He's not being singled out. Not everybody in this country has gunned down an unarmed youth. Not everyone has pointed a shotgun in the face of their girlfriend. He has.
He was found not guilty, Nancy. Again, one more time, this is a free man. The Second Amendment applies to him. And if anybody has a right to, if anybody has a need for a firearm, it's George Zimmerman. This is one of the most hated men in America, for crying out loud. Leave the guy alone.
You know what?
There are lots of not guilty verdicts.
I want to talk about something more important here. You know, you keep talking about this gun. George had a concealed weapons permit. He had a legal right to carry that weapon with him, okay?
Yeah.
And we talked about the Second Amendment, and you said something about before the Civil War. Well, in the state of Florida, the requirements were met by Mr. Zimmerman.
Okay.
You
Mr.
said
Taffy,
something about the Civil War before.
It was the
I want to talk
Revolutionary War when the Brits, the Tories, were bursting into people's homes.
Weapon. Okay, he had every right to carry that weapon. He was a legal concealed weapons permit carrier. Okay,
a legal concealed weapons carrier. Did you just say that? A legal concealed weapons carrier?
He had a permit.
I don't care.
He had a permit to carry that weapon.
Of course, then it took a little bit of digging to figure out that Frank Taffy, Zimmerman's spokesperson, may have a bias.
Yeah, she's a because she keeps spewing out all that bullshit. She goes over to Switzerland and she says that the lady didn't want to show her handbag because she thought, that she couldn't afford it. And she keeps just doing what she's doing. She keeps stirring the pot. She keeps trying to promote her boy Obama. Obama could do no wrong. It's birds of a feather. They flock together and stick together. And to me, she's a n***er. Oprah Winfrey's a n***er.
No, not at all.
She's a n***er.
That is Frank Taffy's Standing Our Ground on the White Voice Network, where he attacks Oprah Winfrey, who raised herself out of one of the worst neighborhoods you could possibly grow up in to become the superstar she is today. And when you hear him argue for Zimmerman and for his gun rights, you have to understand where he's coming from. Back to you, Larry Elder, ABC talk show host. You know what? I don't care what you say, that he was found not guilty. You know what?
He was.
You've got Trayvon dead in the mud, all right? You go ahead and tell Trayvon's parents he was found not guilty. Then you've got his girlfriend who mysteriously drops charges after he allegedly points a shotgun in her face. Then you've got the fight with his wife over their stuff. I mean, just for a moment, Larry, don't argue with me. I know what the law is. I know what the Constitution says about bearing guns. But this, I mean, look at his arsenal at home. This is heading to no good. It's not going to end until there's somebody else dead, Larry.
And that dead person may be George Zimmerman. Suppose he didn't have a firearm and somebody broke into his home. One of the people that beat up Rodney King was a guy named Stacy Kuhn. He was at a halfway house here in L.A., and somebody went up there to shoot him. He turned out he was there on left on leave, but he ended up killing a vending machine guy thinking it was Stacy Kuhn. So George Zimmerman has every right to have a firearm, and if I were advising George Zimmerman, I would advise him to have several in his home.
You're digging deep, man. I got to give you credit for that. You're digging deep. Over 10 years ago, you're digging up Rodney King. You know, you
Nancy,
do know Rodney King has passed away, but you go ahead and keep digging him up when you have to. Hold on, Elder. Right now, Derek Ashong, Fusion anchor. Derek, thanks for being with us. You met with Zimmerman. What about this arsenal and his plans? They're not dead yet. He is going to have a celebrity so-called boxing match where you know he's going to take part of the till.
Yeah, I mean, we asked him about the celebrity matches, and he kind of hemmed and hawed on that question, and he said that nothing was official, but he did not deny that. He said that his supporters had encouraged him not to do it, but then he later said that he needs to earn money. He's $2.5 million in debt. When you see the images of the arsenal that were released today, the question that comes up to me is, how does a person who effectively, I believe, got away with murder, how is it that he's able to have such an arsenal at his disposal? It seems only a matter of time, given his violent track record, that something is going to go wrong.
Derek Ashong with us. You know, Derek, it just seems to me we all now know about Zimmerman's arsenal. We know he's out to just make money any way he can. You know, you put those two together, and that's a deadly recipe.
Yeah, I definitely think so. And I think one of the big questions to me is, what's up with the people that are around him? You would think that someone would advise this guy, like, look, this is what you've been through. Obviously, you are in a precarious situation. Calm down, chill out, live a low-key lifestyle. This whole rhetoric of, oh, he's in such danger, so he needs all of these weapons. How are you going to grab an AR-15, a shotgun, and a Glock if you're under attack? It's just not going to happen. What I think is happening is he's become an avatar for people who want to argue certain Second Amendment arguments, but also who want to push certain racial agendas. And I think that he is actually in a worse situation than all of his supporters, because ultimately he's going to be the one who will wind up paying the price.
When we come back, a gorgeous